I see dawn before me, within reach, but still in the shadows, right? They say it's darkest before dawn, that the tunnel we have to enter into remains that, like this still darkness until we can exit through the entrance. There's a oneness there. And it's that darkness that I want to talk about today for Sanctuary Sunday. I'm Keziah. It's Sunday, December, wait a minute, 16th? Nope, 17th. And I want to talk about the dark. And not the dark because the dark is dark and the dark is negative and the dark is the shadow that we seek to escape. But because in the dark do we come to know contrast, which is the light. In the dark is where we can investigate who we are, where we are, and why we are. You know, and oftentimes people want to do away with the dark, right? They want to hide the dark. They want to act like the dark is not. But it is. It's like you can't escape your shadow, right? You can sit down, you can turn the light off in order to not see your shadow. But the moment you turn the light on and move, just so, there you are again. And so I want to part that the shadow is our access to our freedom. The shadow is our access to God. The shadow is our, it's almost like a holy space, if you will. You know, it might be far-fetched to conceive, but when you see dark as holy, you drop to your knees and you fall forward inside of the freedom of having claimed your fullness, right? Because if I'm willing to say, I have judgments, I am critical, I have lied, I have done whatever, or I think these things, or I don't always wish people well because of myself. If we say these things, if we call truth, the hidden truths to the table, then we can move through them. We can have compassion for self, love for self, forgiveness for self, and grow beyond those those big things, those big hidden things. And I think that's what's important, that we recognize the dark as a pathway, a gateway into our lightness of being. And so I think there's room to turn within. There's room to sit with ourselves and investigate who it is that we are. Why do I feel this way? Where is this unhappiness? Why am I unable to celebrate the fullness of someone else? Is it because I'm haunted? Because I'm insecure? Because I've not had access? Because when I was little, ... all of these stories that we carry with us like luggage that we don't need. It's like you open it up and there's nothing in there for us to gain from. There's just the weight of this empty space of dark. So how do we move out of the shadow? How do we see the cracks in the floorboard? How do we find those little spaces of light that we might expand them in such a way that we befriend the dark? I recently wrote a post called Self-Inquiry, a first-class ticket within, something along those lines. And it talks about the fact that we all have a shadow side, right? And you have to turn toward it. Everything is about turning toward, Really, even the last Sanctuary Sunday was about surrender, how you have to lean into, turn toward, fall forward into. And even with the shadow, you can't just wish it away. You can't just wake up and say, I am different. Well, fake it till you make it, but you can't just wake up and say, I have changed. Change comes from having gone there. You know that you've gone down the wrong street after you've gone down the wrong street, after you've become lost. Then that's the signpost that led me in that other direction that I didn't want to go, that led me into those feelings that I didn't want to feel, that evoked those emotions that I didn't want to deal with, wasn't ready for. But the only way is to go there. And so the only way to get to the light is to go through the dark, to face that which we don't want to see, to look at our pain, to find our place of healing. And a lot of times we might not know that we need to be healed. It took me a minute to sort of wrap my mind around healing. I'm like, I don't feel any ailments, but we all need to be healed because we're imperfect. And we come from imperfect families, from imperfect parents who pass down dark imperfections. And the only way to sort of transcend the dark is to say, I need to be healed. It is to say, I need to be healed. And when we can access that part of ourselves where we're honest, and we can enter in that dark room of aloneness where there's just us and the echo of our own voices and the cry of our own soul to be free, then we can find the light. Then we can celebrate how wonderful we are, because we are that. The dark doesn't mean that we're not wonderful. The dark means that we're not perfect, and that there's room and space and opportunity to grow and to rid ourselves of the luggage we have carried for no reason. Those aren't our stories. We just didn't have a choice, right? We were given this role. We just landed inside of this family, this situation, and we played this role. But those aren't our stories. The dark is a reminder that you can write your own story. And if you want that story to have a voice of light, then you give yourself that role inside of your own story to be the sun, right? You give yourself permission to shine, but not before you go through the dark. It's premature, right? Because if you skip over something, then when you arrive at the next thing, you won't be ready. If you skip over learning who you are, you won't be ready to know who you are becoming. So it's almost like being wise beyond your years, right? Like you can be wise before your time. You can have a certain knowing, but you need the journey through life, through time and space, in order for that knowing to make full and complete sense, so that then you can pass it down, pass it on, give it away. And that time and space, that life journey, is really you going through the dark, because that's it. See the dark as a gift. If you see, if we see, if I see, because it's all of us, it's an usness. It's not a me-ness, it's not a you-ness, it's an usness and an isness inside. So if we are willing to go there down that dark, scary alley and stand like this, where you're so exposed and so afraid simultaneously that a wave of light has to come over you. Like you have to be released because, again, like last week, you surrendered. You gave in to the dark so that you could understand why it is there, its reason for being, right? Why it's latching on to you, why that shadow is a part of who you are. Because maybe now it's reached the period at the end of the sentence. Maybe now the shadow has expired because you have admitted to whatever is inside the bowl of that shadow. You've admitted, you've said yes. I hate to say it, but this is I sign up. This is all me. But I've looked at that and I've resolved it. I've said I'm sorry. I've resolved that. I've forgiven myself. There's resolution there. Childhood is over, and I am creating a new childhood in my adulthood. And maybe there's still something else you have to do. So you keep entering in, right? We just keep entering in the dark so that we can see the light because, man, that tunnel, there is light at the end of that tunnel. There's gold at the end of the rainbow, right? And it's true. It's not some fairy tale, some illusion that we hold on to, some Santa Claus story, some tooth fairy story. It's real, like breath, like breathing, like the sun, like the moon. It's real. It's real. So sometimes we do have to go to the dank, dark, dirty, dusty, narrow road of our wrong. That we might enter into the wide, vast space of the light. So I want to say today on Sanctuary Sunday, let us enter in so that we can exit through that entrance into the light. Amen, right? Amen. Thank you, of course, for being a part of this journey with me. Sanctuary Sunday. I try to keep it brief. You know, attention spans are short. Maybe that's going to be next week. We need to expand our ability to be with something that's rich. I'm Keziah Young. And yeah, this is good for me to be here in this with you because it keeps me somewhere inside of the nowhere of being. So I wish you nothing but, again, bounty in the overflow. Amen. And as Spike Lee says, what is it? Come on now. Something, something, something to the beat. Yes, yes, y'all, to the beat. I like that. All right. Have a good one. I know I am, even when the tears fall, because it's good. Even when the tears fall.